Have you ever wondered what would happen if you placed a Pepsi and a Coca-Cola in front of an ant trail and let the ants decide? Sounds like a silly question, right? But trust me, this little experiment revealed way more than I expected. It all started on a regular afternoon. It was hot, the sun was blazing, and I was sitting in the backyard sipping a soda when I saw a line of ants marching by, organized like a tiny army. That's when a question popped into my head, one that no one had ever asked me, and maybe no one had ever dared to ask. Do ants prefer Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Right then I thought, this needs to become an experiment. And that was the beginning of what I proudly named the ultimate sugary showdown. Setting up the experiment, the battle stage. I grabbed 2 plastic bottle caps, just your regular soda caps. In one, I poured Coca-Cola. In the other, Pepsi. Same amount, room temperature, no fizz. I let it go flat so the bubbles wouldn't interfere, and I placed them exactly 20 centimeters apart. Everything was laid out on a wooden board at a spot where I had seen ants pass by many times before. I had created a neutral zone, a real backyard laboratory. No tricks, no human interference. Just me, the ants, and 2 of the world's most famous drinks. The suspense begins. The first 5 minutes were pure suspense. Nothing happened. The ants walked by, busy carrying leaves, crumbs, just going about their ant lives. But then she appeared. The pioneer, a single ant, slowly approaching, sniffing around, exploring. She moved toward both caps, paused for a second, and went straight for the Coca-Cola. Coincidence? Maybe. But what happened next erased any doubts. The sugary invasion. 10 minutes later, that same ant came back. But this time, she wasn't alone. She brought the whole crew, dozens of ants, marching in line, all heading to one place, the Coca-Cola cap. It was like she posted in the ant group chat, "Guys, I found paradise. Bring containers." And that was it. They swarmed the cap, dove into the drink, came out sticky, bumping into each other. It was a full-on ant party. Meanwhile, the Pepsi nothing. 2 ant passed by. One got close to the edge and turned away. Seriously. Like she sniffed it and said, "Not my thing." Final score, Coca-Cola 1-0 Pepsi. After 1 hour of observation, the score was embarrassing. Coke, around 60 ants. Pepsi, just 3, and none stayed long. At that point, I asked myself the same thing you're probably thinking. What does Coca-Cola have that Pepsi doesn't? And how can ants even tell the difference? The science behind it. I did some digging. Yes, I took this seriously. Here's what I found. Coca-Cola has a bit more sugar than Pepsi. Its flavor is more caramel-like and less acidic. Pepsi is slightly more citrusy and has a sharper taste. And here's the cool part. Ants have super sensitive chemical sensors. They can detect sugars, proteins, and even artificial substances. Not through taste like we do, but through receptors on their antennae and legs. In other words, they literally feel the sugar, and probably the type of sugar and smell make all the difference. So, what does this prove? Of course, this experiment won't be published in a scientific journal, but it shows something fascinating. Even the tiniest creatures make choices based on real stimuli. It wasn't luck. It wasn't random. The ants made a choice, and it was almost unanimous. Coca-Cola is the winner. What do we do with this info? Well, if even ants have a clear opinion on this endless debate, maybe we should be listening to them more. Jokes aside, this was one of the most fun and unexpectedly insightful experiments I've ever done. Simple, easy to try at home, and it sparks curiosity, even in people who don't usually care about science. So what's next? I'm already thinking about the next challenge. Do bees prefer honey or soda? Are mosquitoes more attracted to grape juice or orange juice? Or can we set up an insect master chef with different ingredients? The sky's the limit, or actually the ground, since ants don't fly. If you enjoyed this story, drop a like, leave a comment down below telling me if you're hashtag Team Coke or hashtag Team Pepsi, and don't forget to subscribe for more weird and wonderful experiments like this one. Because hey, science can be fun, and even the ants agree.